Hey, how'd everybody like the Lazy Magnolia Southern Pecan? Kind of different little spin on things, but just kind of fun overall beer. Next, we got start getting a little bit more serious, and this is where we start getting into, kind of the true, beer drinkers beer. And that's when you start getting into like the pale ales and what we're going to bring up next, which is the India pale ales. And basically, a pale ale is, and this happens to be the Oskar Blues Dale's Pale Ale, which is an American pale ale. It's medium bodied with a noticeable hop flavor in a light copper color. Just big, rich pale ales and India pale ales are kind of, like I said, it's kind of the beer drinkers beer, and the beer that most brewers and most craft breweries are really kind of judged on. It's kind of like I always, say I judge Mexican restaurants on fajitas. If you can't make good fajitas, then you're not a good Mexican restaurant. So, and that's kind of the way breweries are, and, the way beer drinkers look at breweries. I mean, if you can't, do a really good IPA, then, what are you? I mean, you can't just do, IPAs, and that's like, Bearded Iris, which is one of our hot popular, local breweries in Nashville. They kind of get a knock for, just doing IPAs. So you got to be able to make it all across the board, but your pale ales and your IPAs are kind of what you're going to get judged on. So, Oskar Blues Dale's Pale Ale, 6.5% alcohol. This is actually from Longmont, Colorado. They actually have a brewery in Brevard, North Carolina, and actually one in Austin, Texas. Oskar Blues is they've kind of blown up. They actually own Cigar City and a couple other craft breweries that they've bought out. They've been a hugely successful, craft brewery. They actually started out in the early 2000s, I think like 2001, 2002, and, really kind of claimed to be the, first craft brewery in a can. So everything else used to be, as far as craft breweries or small breweries, they used to bottle everything, but these guys decided to go, the can route, and have been ridiculously successful doing that. But, this is, like I said, this is an American pale ale. And, it may look like a Budweiser or something like that, but you're definitely going to notice, a lot more hoppiness, on the back end. It's kind of more of a, nice citrus, floral hop. If you're kind of a hop head like myself, this is still a pretty easy drinking beer. Now if you're new to, pale ales or IPAs, you're definitely going to get that hoppiness in there. And this is not necessarily one that you want to sit there and just hammer if you're, thirsting to death, because that hoppiness is going to kind of dry you out. But, people play with hops. There's a lot of different kinds of them, and there's a lot of variations. But, like I said, this is kind of a staple beer, and one that you're going to, if you don't do well, you're kind of going to get your nose thumbed at. So, but try it out. I mean, pale ales are great for, basically any kind of, American type food, any type of meat, fish, blue cheese goes great with it. So, great for cooking, anything you do that you need to, boil in beer, or, put in, for, any kind of reduction or anything like that. I mean, great pale ale is really nice. So give that a try, and I'll be back to you, and we're going to talk IPAs. So next. All right. See y'all say.